Yeah, there's a lot of drama around here. We're like the women's gymnastic team.
Oh, my God.
I mean, everybody's sniping at each other. And I'm like, man, we should be proud. We all should be proud.
Well, it's just the one Michaela Skinner who did one YouTube video that she pulled down and apologized for. And she said, I guess she said some things about the team, saying that they were outside of Simone Biles, they're lazy and don't have it.
I mean, she was very supportive of Simone. I mean, how could you not be?
Yeah, right.
But I mean, like, yeah, but then everybody has to pile on. Everybody's got to jump in, and then the girls who did win the gold medal end up having to react to everybody else jumping in.
Well, it gave them extra motivation, I feel like. I feel like she was a catalyst to get them going, so it was great. But yeah, we always have drama around here, much like the women's gymnastics team.
Did Brandon Tierney tell Brian Cashman that he didn't have the right to rebuild the Yankees?
I was hoping that he would, but they did not say that. And that would have been a tough thing to say. Like if Brian Cashman comes on as a guest, with the Yankees playing so well, and BT's like, you don't have the right to rebuild the Yankees in the way that they need to be rebuilt. So no, he didn't do that.
Yeah.
But he did say, and the thing that got Brian Cashman, I'm sure that Jerry will have it at 6:25. But the thing that he said that got Brian Cashman very upset was BT did not believe that the Yankees were operating with the same type of urgency that they have in the past.
Urgency. They added Juan Soto before the season started.
Yeah.
They got three guys making over $30 million a year.
Yeah, I mean
it's a lot of urgency.
And that was Brian Cashman's answer. Now, BT said, well, why'd you wait for Gallo to get rid of him? Why'd you wait to get rid of Hicks? All of these things. And then, Brian Cashman counters with, we've got an MVP, a Cy Young Award winner, another guy who could be an MVP, and just talked about how they've invested in the team with big names. So, I mean, both of them are right. Like, the Yankees held on to Joey Gallo, Gary Sanchez, Aaron Hicks, and maybe Gleyber Torres too long. But Brian Cashman is also right. And hell, we re-signed Aaron Judge. We brought in Garrett Cole. We brought in Juan Soto. We want to re-sign him. We signed Carlos Rodon, even though he stinks for the most part. But we gave him a ton of money. So they're both right. But
it's just
really,
how you see it. It's just how you see
yeah,
it.
Exactly.
It's like anything else. I mean,
yeah.
And the other interesting thing is, that David Sampson now, this is a former president of baseball operations, I guess.
Yeah, he is a Stugatz buddy, actually. The last time that Stugatz, not this past week, but last year when Stugatz was in here, David Sampson came on the show because I guess he's a big, he fires a lot of, fastballs and missiles,
well,
out
here
into
you
the
go.
world.
Well, I mean,
I missile firer.
He hates. I don't know him from Adam, but everything I read when he does something like what he did yesterday, I get the sense that he hates Derek Jeter. That he can't stand Derek Jeter. I don't know if I guess they work together down there at the Marlins.
Or maybe David Sampson lost his job because of Derek Jeter.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know what it is, but he hates Derek Jeter. I mean, whatever, with a passion. At least that's how I feel when I read what he says. And, of course, he is throwing cold water all over the Jazz Chisholm signing for the Yankees or trade for the Yankees. And we're watching, and what we have seen is a guy that's been the Energizer Bunny since he's gotten here.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what the Yankees needed. They needed something to shake up the team, somebody to come in and be a little bit, I'd like to say pea and vinegar. You know what I'm saying? That's what he is.
Sure.
And I'm using when I say P, I say the letter.
Yeah, right. Of course. Yes.
So,
a lot of pea talk this morning. Pea in a cup, pea and vinegar.
Whatever. But I do think that, and that's a hot take, and that's a guy who's no longer in baseball, as far as I know.
Right.
And maybe, this is his way of getting back to people. And by the way, Chisholm wasn't there when he was there.
He wasn't? It didn't line up?
No, I think Chisholm came a year after Sampson left.
Okay.
So I don't know necessarily. I'm assuming he still follows the Marlins and still, is very much understanding of the way that organization is running. But why would you just throw complete cold water on that when, in fact, these first 4 or 5 games, he's been perfect. He's been the perfect fit for them. Yeah,
I mean, he has been, I think, probably, think about it. let's say the shoe was on the other foot, and we're watching a Mets team that's having let's pretend, I'm not saying they're having a bad year now. Let's say we're watching one of these bad years that the Mets have had in the past, and they trade away a guy who was underachieving and then goes to a winning team and starts playing well. We would probably be saying, just wait. You're getting a little burst out of him, but just wait. He's not the greatest thing since sliced bread. You got to see over an extended period of time. I mean, maybe that's what he's got more experience in watching him and knowing him.
But how about this, though? How about having a guy that probably has a very, very, I would say, positive feeling about himself, Chisholm, the athlete, probably thinks of himself maybe better than some people see him.
Yeah.
And that's fine, because you want confidence, you want attitude, you want expectations from the athlete himself, which I kind of feel like he has. It's a very small sample size, but I feel like there's an energy about him that could be a little bit off-putting. I could understand that if he were the main guy on a team.
Well, also,
when he comes here, he's not the main guy on the team.
He's not even close to being the main guy on the team.
That's what I'm saying. So this may be the best situation for him to flourish.
Exactly. And I think that's what it is. It's what the Yankees needed at this time. They needed a guy with a little bit of red ass, a chip on his shoulder. Someone's going to shake things up. And that's what he's done. And
shaking things up,
and he's getting along great with everybody. He's provided that energy, something we talk about with the Yankees and running the bases and stolen bases, and they never do that. And he's a guy that is a problem when he gets on the base path. So it's worked out great so far. But when we're talking about the postseason and the Yankees, this is what it's going to come down to. Is Aaron Judge going to be Aaron Judge? Is Giancarlo Stanton going to be flailing at sliders down and away? Is Jazz Chisholm going to be a problem in the clubhouse and throwing his glove down in the dugout and turning into the guy that the Marlins saw? I mean, that's really what the Yankees season is about. Is Juan Soto going to have a postseason like he had with the Nationals, or is he going to disappear? That's really what it's about at this point. Now that they've righted the ship, it's can this Yankee team look like this, like they have for the last 5 games in the playoffs?
100%. And like I've always told you, right now, what are the Yankees doing? What are they doing right now?
Peaking too early?
No.
Oh, I thought.
No, I mean, listen. No, first of all,
you love a peak too early spot.
No, yeah, but no, it's not a peak. No, it's not a peak too early. They came out of their malaise, and now they are what?
Stabilized.
Winning.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And what is winning?
Oh, winning's the deodorant of champions.
Well, there you go.
Right.
And when you win, everybody gets along, everybody's happy, everybody is smiling, as opposed to going through the grind like they have the last 6 weeks.
Right. So the Yankees also got off the road with dead carcasses to disaster.
Right.
And now they're winning, which is the deodorant of champions.
Right.
So it's all coming together for us.
So, you have to understand where I'm coming from and understand how I see these things.
Yeah, you know what I do. And that's what's happening right now with the Yankees. And, he sat here for weeks. I even heard Tom Verducci that was on with BT and Sal from Joe Torre's golf tournament saying, I don't know how the Yankees turn it around with this particular team. I have no idea because this guy stinks, that guy stinks, this guy looks like he's washed up. Well, you've got a combination of things. You've had guys who have been playing poorly, playing better. DJ LeMahieu last night, I don't know if it's going to continue, but
he's got a hot bat all of a sudden.
Yeah, he's got a hot bat. Carlos Rodon, couple of starts in a row. Very good. Then you add Chisholm, who comes in, and he's been a revelation for them. Giancarlo Stanton has come back. He hasn't been hitting a ton of home runs, but he hasn't been striking out a lot either. So, I mean, they're getting back to who they can be. But it is scary that we did see 6 weeks of horrendous baseball from them, and you just wonder if that's around the corner again.
Well, you hope that it isn't. You're hoping that they came out of that malaise and makes you realize that, dare I say it, that Aaron Boone navigated it and
properly.
He was like Magellan, the way that he handled this whole thing.
Vasco da Gama.
Yes. Americo Vespucci.
I can't say Christopher Columbus. They've canceled him, right? I can't use that anymore.
Somebody has, I guess.
Yeah, so,
not everybody.
Yeah, not everybody.
People.
Some people have gotten rid of him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you kind of have to say that now. Yeah, I mean, but it kind of brings up the point that a lot of people would say with Aaron Boone is like, all right, when the players are playing well, he looks like he knows what he's doing. When they're not, he has no idea what to do.
You could say that about every manager and every coach.
Not necessarily.
You know what?
No. Not necessarily. I don't believe that.
I think
because
that
I feel like Carlos Mendoza this year in a couple of spots, even when they were down, were doing things and tweaking things. He was.
I understand that, but again, when the players are playing like crap, the manager's gonna hear it because the fans are gonna be disgusted with the way that things look, especially when it's laziness or when there is a mistake that is made, a bonehead mistake on the base paths, when somebody runs through a stop sign at third base, or when somebody doesn't cover a base when they should be covering a base, or somebody cuts. I mean, that's
the accountability spots.
But all of that stuff happens when you're losing, and those are the tough moments for the manager, especially in this city for that team. And, so here we are. They're, 5 in a row now?
Yeah.
And it's like it's that team that we saw the first couple months of the season. And this is a 162-game season. There's going to be a lot of things that go on. And for this team in particular, with all the eyeballs, with all the opinions, with with all the people that covered the team and put, leak stuff out and, fighting with Brandon yesterday, Brian Cashman. I understand that.
Fighting might be a little strong, but pushing back.
Pushing back or standing tall or standing strong. I would do the same thing, and that's what they did in the offseason, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
They did the same thing in the offseason. Like, hey, man, it's not easy to win World Series. We're trying to win every freaking year. We're spending the money to win.
Yeah, Brian Cashman, of course, had that infamous press conference from the GM meetings or the winter meetings, whatever it was, where he was cursing and defending the organization. He didn't go that far yesterday, but he did have juice. I mean, there was no doubt about it that, Brandon even texted this morning already saying how Cashman was good yesterday. And I heard most of it, better than he usually is. But I mean, that's the thing that gets Brian Cashman is when, and I think that's what got him in the winter and what got him yesterday, is this idea that they're not trying hard enough. Which
is total BS. Maybe it's because they're not spending as much money as the Dodgers or the Mets, and that's what everybody else is comparing the Yankees to. But how many World Series did the Dodgers have after spending God knows how much money?
Just the COVID season one,
right? So a lot of this is dependent, and we see this in every sport. I mean, I guess you could pencil in the Kansas City Chiefs for the Super Bowl, assuming that guys stay healthy.
Yeah.
And especially one Patrick Mahomes stays healthy. But again, it's still a long road before you can get there. And I know that Yankee fans get frustrated at times, especially with certain players. And we've talked about those players here incessantly. But they're built to win now. They are. And we all know that. And you can't have an all-star at every freaking position. They almost do already.
Yeah. I mean, especially now where there are owners that are conscious of the luxury tax. It's not a hard salary cap, but it is very, very, you can be penalized. Punitive is the word I was looking for. It can be very punitive if you go far past it. And no matter who you are, if you're a Steinbrenner, if you're a Cohen, if you're the group that owns the Dodgers, they don't want to deal with that. So, I mean, you can't, I think some fans forget about that. Because they think that baseball is no salary cap. You can spend whatever you want. You're in New York. You're the Yankees. You're the Mets. I mean, there's massive, massive money that these guys lose if they go above these thresholds. And let's not forget, as much as we live in the sandbox and the playground and we love sports and we're talking about double plays and home runs and all this stuff, it's a business for these guys.
You know what it's like? You know what it's like for the Yankees or any of these baseball teams when they pierce the luxury tax threshold? Same thing could be said for the NBA when they get into that fourth apron or whatever. How many aprons are there?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure, but it's like buying tickets on StubHub. You buy the tickets, and then you realize there's like 97 different, it feels like, there are 97 different fees and taxes and everything else associated with it. And then before you know it, what you thought you were spending was $100. You're spending $135.
Yep.
And that's exactly what the luxury tax and what that apron thing in the NBA is and the penalties that are associated with it
for competitive balance.
For competitive balance. And, no owner in their right mind, maybe unless, of course, you're the Dodgers, wants to incur that type of that cost when you shouldn't have to.
Right.
If your baseball people are good, you shouldn't have to do that.
Exactly. I mean, and that's what we've seen from a lot of these different teams that maybe not winning, but, the Rays are always in the mix. You see the Diamondbacks last year in the mix.
And they're in the mix again this year.
Right. I mean, the Houston Astros bottomed out and built themselves back up with their own players and then couldn't keep everybody, but they kept most of them. So, yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it more than just buying everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, so you just put yourself in their situation. Do you want to spend like an extra $35 million that you don't have to spend?
No.
It's a penalty.
Of course.
And nobody wants to pay a penalty.
Especially when we're not looking at the bottom line. We're not looking at the money that they're making or losing. I mean, this is, I know that Steve Cohen says it's really, he's losing money, and we talk about how he puts everything through the Mets and there's tax breaks and all of these things. But at the same time, if you're an owner, you don't want to lose money every year.
It's also, right, exactly. He also has an asset that's worth a couple $1 billion.
Sure.
So it's an asset as well. And, I'm sure he enjoys that. And, interesting going to Citi Field. You saw what's going on around that.
Mm-hmm.
You got Related over there now. They're starting to build different things. And it's going to be more than just baseball. And it looks like, I don't know if I read this. I think I read this. It sounds like that Sands Casino is coming to Nassau County.
See, I don't know yet. I thought it was going to be still another year or so before they decided that.
All right, so that means
you're saying that they got one of the downstate licenses?
I don't know.
That would have been big news.
I thought I read that, but I'm just if they do, that means there's 2 downstate licenses still available, and who's getting those?
Yeah. All right. Well, that is a huge.
And that
deal.
is huge for Steve Cohen and the Mets.
Yep. And that's the one I actually, of all of them, that's the one I like the best.
Well, that's because you don't live there. The people that live there don't like it.
Damn right I don't live there.
Right, exactly.
But it sounds great, man. You slap a casino next to Citi Field and restaurants and hotels, man, I'm in. I mean,
we feel like, okay, that Citi Field, it's over by LaGuardia, but there are people that live in that community that don't want it. Just like people in Nassau County don't want the Sands.
Right. So just move to Delaware like everybody else is doing.